Welcome everyone. My name is Leanne Hackman-Carty, for those of you who may not know me, with Economic Developers of Alberta. And the reason we put this webinar together, it was actually very last minute. We got a lot of calls last week from members saying, hey, what are you doing about the tariffs? And we said, well, we're not really an advocacy group. We're not really a lobbying group, but we do care about local businesses. We care about thriving communities. Our members are on the front lines. So what could we possibly do to support our members? And so we kind of were brainstorming with a couple members and said, hey, what if we were to have a webinar? And it's a bit of a different format than we usually have, but have some of our members share what they're doing to support local businesses, whether they're doing it right now or whether they did it previously during other types of economic downturns or disasters, and just giving some ideas to everyone else. And maybe it's something you can replicate for your own local business community. And then if we have questions for the three panelists, feel free to put in the chat box. My colleague Nancy Toombs is going to be watching that, and we'll answer those questions. And then hopefully we have some more time at the end. And each of you, if you have any best practices, any cool things that you're doing to support your communities, please raise your hand and let us know, because we'll try and get as many of those in too, because you never know where something really neat is going to come from. And so that's what we wanted to just share today. And in the theme of Valentine's Day coming up, we said, hey, let's just show the local business community some love this week. So we've got Hetti Huls with the County of Grande Prairie. She's also on the EDA board. We've got Angela Groeneveld from the town of Strathmore, and we've got Katlin Ducherer from the city of Lloydminster. And so the three of them are going to just present a little bit about what they're doing, some of the work they're doing to support local and their local business community, and then we'll see where it goes. So I think we'll go in order: Hetti first, then maybe Katlin, and then Angela. So Hetti, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Leanne. So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks to Leanne and the ladies for coordinating these Wednesday webinars. It's always valuable information and a good way to connect with our peers throughout the province and everywhere else. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Hetti Huls with the County of Grande Prairie, one of the economic development officers, as well as an EDA board member, as Leanne had mentioned. I've been an economic development practitioner for about 11 years now. So there are several ways that we support our businesses, and obviously they are all dependent on time, budget, location, and whatever resources that we have available. So although as economic developers, we cannot fix everything for our business communities, we can be a strong advocate for and the voice between those businesses and the municipal, provincial, and federal governments in terms of policies, programming, or other barriers that may come up. So for several years, the county has undertaken annual business surveys to connect with those businesses. It's a great way to do some outreach and collect the data to see where the business community is at, what programs we can offer, how we can help with policies, what supply chain pinch points there might be, or various other outreach or emergent situations that may arise. This could include during the pandemic, fires that come up, or any other such things like downtown revitalizations or major catastrophes. So in my experience at the county, we have created the County Business Support Network, the Business Resiliency Task Force, and most recently, the Work Northwest Partnership. Each of these strategic programs helps the business communities in varying ways. The County of Grande Prairie Business Support Network was established in 2019, and it was made to build strong partnerships with the business community to address common, current, and regional workplace challenges. My overall goal with the BSN was to become more self-reliant and create a community that did not need to rely so heavily on the outside world. A community that could share the resources or workforce as needed. Little did I know that the world would close up and we would be in a lockdown state for those next 2 years, and sharing those resources and relying on each other would become a hard-hitting reality. The BSN group is still going strong, and we offer monthly roundtable discussions or workshops, information sessions, job fairs to help keep the business community connected to each other, and other various business supports that are available. Prairie's Can, Community Futures, GPRIN, all of those organizations. The Business Resiliency Task Force, or the BRT, was a joint committee that we formed when COVID had hit and we were all locked down. So we had partnered with the city and the Chamber of Commerce to run several campaigns to try and keep our local economy going and the local businesses floating. We did meet daily to keep updated on the constant changes. We devised ways to be creative and offered information that was accurate, reliable, and timed just right for our business community. We offered weekly webinars that updated the businesses on the current mandates, what the subsidies were available, our local ambassador program, whatever telephone town halls were available, or what other relevant information was coming down the pipes. We created a Love Local social media campaign that asked the residents to show how they supported local businesses by using the Love Local GP hashtag and tagging those businesses on their social media accounts. This gave them a chance to win chamber checks and then entered them into a grand prize draw of $1,500 worth of chamber checks. We shared suggestions on how they could support those local businesses, which included online shopping, purchasing gift cards, sharing business information, taking virtual classes, or leaving online reviews, just to name a few options. Another resource we provided to local small and medium businesses through the BRT was the Digital Marketing Bootcamp. In collaboration with our regional community futures and the local digital marketing group, the BRT established a grant program. We organized several small cohorts to help the small and medium businesses swiftly adapt and enhance their online marketing, their sales strategies, and overall competitive edge. This program is still being offered by 910, which is a local marketing group. None of our assistance, programming, or strategies always work, nor do they happen instantaneously. Some of these things take several years to come to fruition. In 2018, we started working on a regional market needs assessment. In 2021, we created and focused on 6 regional sector profiles and then a sector targeted sector study. In 2023, we continued that work with a regional attraction and retention study, which did a deep dive into the satisfaction levels of the region as a place to work and live. And in 2024, we became an official item and labeled ourselves the Work Northwest Partnership. We have a website, marketing materials, hiring packages, a work integrated learning program, and we have a contracted coordinator who manages the frontline administration and day-to-day operations of this partnership. Workforce issues are an everyone issue, and we are not special. We are trying to navigate this in the best way that we can. Join us at the EDA conference to hear about how our region and other regions are working at winning the talent game. Do you see how I plugged the conference? If you didn't get your ticket, you're too late. As mentioned earlier, things don't always work. Sometimes the timing, the resources, our budget constraints, or other things may impede a program from taking off, and that's okay. In 2022, I created a human resources grant to try and assist our small and medium businesses with workforce attraction or retention, or to help them write work from home policies. For a few years during and after COVID, it seemed like things were nonstop. My boss was on a leave, so I was solo for a little while. We had a few fires in the province, which Grande Prairie was the major hub for those northern communities. So the attention that needed to go into the program fell to the wayside, and it was not subscribed as well as I had hoped. However, we did get a business support policy written, and we are currently working on revamping it so that we can easily switch our offerings to support what we need on any given year. In conclusion, the work that we do in economic development is ongoing and forever evolving. While we may not always have an immediate solution to every challenge, our efforts to connect with and support the business community through the initiatives like the BSN or the BRT and the Work Northwest Partnership have made a lasting impact. These programs have allowed us to build resilience, respond to those crises, and continuously adapt to the changing needs of our businesses. But it is important that while some strategies take time to yield results, they lay the foundation for long-term growth and success. We will continue to advocate, collaborate, and work together to help our businesses thrive, to be innovative, and to work through the tough times together.
Wow, that's a lot. And I'm glad we are taping this. So if you want to go back and make notes and ask, follow up with Hetti later and say, you mentioned this one program, can we learn more? That's awesome. I love hearing all of this support that you're offering local. It's fantastic. Katlin, we're gonna go to you next, from Lloydminster.
Perfect. Thanks, Leanne. Can you guys hear me just fine?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for the opportunity. First of all, thrown together really quickly, but again, timely in the current condition and economic state. I know that most of us here are economic development professionals or experts, so we know that it's no secret a good business retention and expansion program is crucial for the economic growth of our communities. I looked at this kind of assignment as why do we need business retention and expansion? And for maybe those who have been in the field for less time or even the elected officials, when we talk about supporting local business, existing business, we need to understand that it's cost-effective growth. It's generally much more cost-effective to retain and expand existing businesses than to attract new ones. Attracting new ones is super important. However, we can't do it without retaining our existing businesses. The infrastructure, workforce, and market presence of an established business are already in place, making it easier and less expensive to support the growth of existing business. Longevity. Hetti touched on it a little bit. When we have a good
Katlin, can I just interrupt? Can you center yourself in the screen? Just so
oh,
we can see
sorry, I'm not
your
even
face?
looking at myself. Here, let me find myself here.
Yeah, we're just seeing your eyeball, so that would be great. Yeah, just that's a little better. Yeah, you
Sorry.
just away. No, I just want to see your beautiful face instead of just your
I
eye.
want to see my face too, but I can't. Is this okay?
That's better. That's better.
Okay.
Thanks.
So when we talk about longevity, a well-structured BR&E program is going to help with our long-term planning, those business visitations, those business surveys, those even just touching base with businesses. We're at AgriVisions this week. Again, it's to get in with business and understand what they need from a local perspective, so we can help with that growth and create targeted initiatives that support that sustainable growth and development within existing local business. This is a big one. It's a big one for me, and I think for everyone else. And I'll talk about the how and what we did with this is that sense of community. Local businesses often contribute to the kind of unique makeup of a community. They provide the goods and the services and reflect the local culture and preferences. And I think that's really important when we talk about building a community pride among residents, but also being good ambassadors. We'll talk about ambassadors later, about ambassadors for communities, so that when we are looking at investment attraction, we have the ability to attract workforce. And again, going back to attracting new businesses, while primary focus is retaining, expanding existing businesses within a BR&E program, if we don't have good local business that feel supported and are ambassadors, then it's really difficult for us to attract new ones. And so I'll go into like the how, and what we did specifically during COVID was the Think Lloyd First movement. And I call it a movement because we didn't want it to be a regular marketing campaign. We wanted it to be something that could organically grow, and it really did just that. So a take on that Think Local campaign that lots of us did. But what we did that was a little bit different, because we're a small community, we don't have a lot of budget. It was during COVID when it was a bit of a surprise. We included the entire ecosystem for business support. So Chamber of Commerce, Lloydminster Community Futures, Startup Lloydminster, Alberta Innovates, Lakeland College, everyone. We included everyone in developing this Think Lloyd First marketing movement. And with that, we collected and created a number of templated assets that could be downloaded. We included social media, so Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and we created hashtags. And what we allowed the business community to do was act as ambassadors through that movement and really make our budget go farther. And so by fostering existing relationships that we had with local businesses, we were able to have over 10,000 user hashtags, Think Lloyd First, Lloyd First, shared within the first year of the program. We had local businesses stepping up to do holiday gift boxes. So over 600 Think Lloyd First boxes were sold. Again, we didn't we didn't fund that. We just helped market it and help create some of the packaging. Beautiful boxes that were sold for charity. A local business did that. Again, sharing that brand and sharing the importance of shopping local and thinking Lloyd first. Excuse me. Next, the movement just kept growing. So we had, and I'm going to share it in the chat here, we had multiple businesses who created videos, professional videos. I just shared our Facebook page there, where we didn't do this, we didn't pay for this. They went ahead and did it themselves and said, think Lloyd first, and here's why. And there was multiple videos from that perspective. And so again, this was not a marketing campaign, but a movement. And it went all through COVID and for about 3 years was really, really successful. Through the times right now, we're amping it back up, putting a little more resources to it, and we'll continue with that program as we kind of go through these treacherous times right now. And I think it just goes back to that conversation around ensuring that your local business is supported so that they can work for you when it comes time to the difficult times and for themselves. I feel like I rambled on there on the last bit. But if anyone has any questions on the brand, would be happy to answer them after.
That's great. Well, we will take questions if you want to put your chat in the chat for whether it's for Katlin or if it's for all of them or if it's for Hetti. Angela, why don't we wrap up and hear from you?
Okay, thank you. I'll try really, really hard on your 5-minute rule, I promise. But my passion is here. So hello to everybody. I kind of call you my work family because I love what I do and I love the group. So for everyone attending, thank you. Bit of background. Yes, I'm proud to brag. I won EDO of the year last year. And there was a statement I said that holds true today. And I said, I'm accepting this award on behalf of all of you who are working really hard out here because the business community needs you more than ever, especially for the next year coming. And elected officials, please listen to your EDOs. And I'm here today to say, because we're here right now, and you are the closest to the problem. I really believe people closest to the problem always have the solution, and you are the liaison of your backyard business community to your elected officials. So nobody can recover unless they know what the problem is. Nobody knows. You have to bring the awareness. So that is what I meant, that we hold such a powerful job, and we're here right now acting on it. Also, I was a past president for Business Retention and Expansion International, and I'm really excited to share some of the ideas that I learned from there when you hear worldly things, because a lot of those organizations are standalone organizations. So they're regional bodies, or they're funded from an arm's length when they're in the US or states or other countries. So they get to come up with really innovative ideas for BRE executing, because they are not in the red tape of the local government rules around marketing and engagements and CRM systems and stuff. So that passion, action, results is my mantra. So we're going to get into some action items here, because the ladies in front of me, they have really shared the importance. If you listen to the programs that they have done, imagine executing those tomorrow. They are going to take time, resources, and money. So time is money to entrepreneurs. Those three things we don't have right now. I look at this as where my passion is coming in as a man-made disaster. We have an urgent situation happening to our business community. Imagine people this morning learned that he's not only doing 25% the US, maybe 50% on steel and aluminum. So this is vulnerable. This is scary. This is for these business owners. Where do they go? Who do they talk to? This is a disaster coming. When we see the fire and we know it's going and we might have to evacuate, and we're in those emergency needs. If you talk to your business owners right now, the ones that are affected by this is the feeling that they have. So that's why I kind of have a little bit of passion around this, as we have an urgent situation. And one of the things I want to share with you as an idea is, if you do not have the money for this, something that you can do is go to your council, ask them to go into their reserves. Due to the urgent reaction to the current political landscape, you need some funding to retain your business community. This is because where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to get the grants? Where are we going to get the resources to do all this kind of stuff? This is what reserves are for. They'll go into reserve. So I wanted to share that as an action item for you to consider with your senior leadership or your CAO. I believe that we're going to see some economy money come down for recovery due to this. If it stays the government on all levels, they're going to need to react to this somehow because there's going to be an economic fallout of this. Tie this also to investment attraction. We all know that we need to look, I call it backyard business. So we need to look after our backyard first. 80 to 90% of investment attraction, I had this quote sent to me this morning, comes from your backyard. And the ladies talked about that earlier. So what they have up and going, the work that they've put into place, I'm very proud of them that they took disaster recovery serious and the shop local stuff serious during COVID because they're ready to go. I'm serving in a community right now. We're starting all over there. So I'm having to move really fast to get stuff done. But, and that's why I want to share that also to some of you. I have no money. I have no collaboration. I have no ecosystem. I'm not too sure if I'm going to have some political support because we're going into election season and they got other priorities and budgets are now just getting approved and coming down. So how do I make disaster? How do I make, we have a serious problem in our backyard right now. I need to get a shop local campaign. I need to get a story out. I need to engage. I need business engagement. I need some funding and resources to do it. I'm going to tie it to their heartstrings with counselors as investment attraction. If I don't save this business community and work with supporting them, there will be no attraction coming to our community. So that's why I wanted to share that as an action item right away, is if you need some resources, turn in. Don't look to the federal and provincial. It takes too long with grants. P3 model. There's a lot of, this is where when they shared about how they were doing their own videos, reach out to your business community right now and see if anybody, so I have de Havilland in my backyard. De Havilland is said to us, we want to be a community growth partner. They're my first phone call. De Havilland, can you help us out? The region's going to be here when you want to make money, but we need to retain this business community right now. And I need $50,000 to bring on someone to do business engagement. We need to talk to the people closest to the problem. So you need to, one of the things I'm doing is a stand-up task force right now. It's called an informal working committee. I don't understand where Community Futures and the Chamber of Commerce and all of the, I don't know who's who in the zoo of who wants to do here. So all I need to do is hear from my business community in the short term of what they need. And then I'm going to invite everybody to it. And I'm literally standing this up fast and doing it in a hybrid model. I'm doing it so that you can zoom in the evening and listen to it, or you can come in person and counsel. And we're going to have a conversation. I've done a few of them. I'm going to pay forward. Do not record these and make it public. I had a serious situation with fraud and AI being done to a video. So we've put a new policy, and so I want to share that lesson. They can attend, but don't record this and send it out after. Just because it's live discussion on people in the room is what it is. We want them to speak free. So the 5 whys, you'd want to ask your business owners. What do you need? When do you need it? Why do you need it? Where? And you know, 5 W's. Just get right to the point of what they need. If you have a large business community, look at your top 10 industries and just bring those in. And if you, even if that's too much to talk to them, narrow it down to who do you think is most affected with the changes with the tariffs right now on the front lines in your industrial. So now that we talk to them all and they say, well, we just need to support local, we just need some help here. One of the really neat things is we want to tell the story of the community in the backyard. So this is an example of one. We're doing it as steak night. So anytime that you can get the business community to own this. So you'll often hear about farm to table. That's a big promotion right now. Well, I want to talk, I'm going to have a different lens of it, and I'm doing Calgary to rule. So my shop local, think global. I'm going to get everybody together, and I have a local bar that is offered from a local butcher shop they're going to be bringing in, and then we have a caterer. They're all going to donate all this kind of stuff. And we're going to bring it in, and it's just going to be a business to business networking opportunity so they can support each other. But you as the EDO, you facilitate the why. And you tell a story about each of the sponsors there that night. And as an example, Pure Country Meats told me that they donated $60,000 to $80,000 last year to the community through 4-H and donating in food bank. And they said, we need everybody to know that, I know price is expensive. Well, they're worried about the beef and the export and the cost of it, that buying beef right now in the grocery store. So they did a price comparison list, and they've matched the prices. So they are not more expensive than Costco or Co-op or online. So they are going to tell the story that night. I'm here to donate and I'm here to sponsor. And here's my community heartstrings. I gave $60,000 to $80,000 to the community last year. Here's the organizations that I've offered. And here's my price match. Please support me. And then the bar is going to do this, and the venue. And so we just like, that's something that I don't need an extra money. I just have to show up and facilitate and ask my comms team, please market this event that's going on. So kind of think of the farm to table story, about behind the scenes telling your story of your business community. And you might just want to do it geographically in certain areas, your downtown, your industrial, your employment lands, different ways, but you can customize it. Don't be all to everybody. You'll get more impact. So now the other thing that I learned about in BRE, and I brought it forward to Okotoks at a time, I have the whole plan right here. And the proposal, so I'd love to pay this forward. This is about an $80,000 contract at the time. And the lady, Sherry Boker, is now the dean at SAIT for this virtual reality program. And it was a pilot project that she was doing through Lethbridge College. But we want to give Shopify a run for their money. So what this program is imagine I have my farm to table steak night. And now I am going to introduce to them, go on the town of Strathmore website, go under business or go click. Actually, I'm going to have an urgent item on the banner that say Canadian owned, shop local or something like that. And click on the shop local. So like, let's say I market it really fun of Shopify. And they'll actually move their mouse. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is an example right there. You'll see a sign, this sign in front of that building. So you're going down your main street, and on virtual reality, you turn your mouse and you look at the shoe store, or you look at that space, and a sign's going to pop up and it's going to say Angela's Shoe Store. And you're going to click on it and you can literally go into the store. And you can walk around and you can do a GPT AI chat at that space, at that. So now the store comes live to you, and then you can click on the menu and you can, there was a component to this where you could shop local and have your cart, and then you could put a local gift buying program to it as well. But that was the second phase. Anyways, virtual reality is the point, and I'm moving fast because of my 5 minutes. Look at doing virtual reality to bring your businesses alive, to tell their story, and to bring it online. We want to make shopping easy for people. After we pull the heartstrings, that's just fluff. We got to get to work of making it easy for them so we change their shopping patterns. Because right now everyone's, we learned some bad lessons in COVID going on Amazon and etc. The next one is the podcast. This is a lot of work to do a podcast, but telling the stories behind the scenes. What I'm doing right now is we have just bought some simple recording podcast stuff to stick into an office in the room. The comms department, I'm going to do one recording a week from the office, and I'm going to put all the business licenses in a draw, and I'm going to draw live so that there's no competition, no favoring. And I'm going to say, next I just drew Angela's Shoe Store. So next week I'll be reaching out to do an interview with Angela's Shoe Store to say why to shop local or tell us some stories. And when they tell their story and come forward, then I'm going to buy posts on the radio, and I'm going to put the links on the website, because it's called winking in the dark. No one knows you're doing it. So you can do all these things, but if you don't market them, if you don't tell people what you're doing, there'll be no impact on it. So make sure that you have a marketing campaign to what you do. And that's why I'm going to include the radio host. but I'm going to do all this through sponsorship. I'm going to see if that P3 model, some people will come forward and help pay for it. If the radio host, would you share my podcast story once a week for the next X amount of time? And you're not going to get a large uptake on it, but everybody loves to tell their story, and it's just creating the vibe. And then you're going to post these on your social media. So my last one is health to wealth. I was in 2 meetings last week with one of them, I talk about Brett Wilson a lot, and the other one was Stan, and he was the cannabis king, bringing cannabis manufacturing. Both of these to Alberta, both of these gentlemen, massive amounts of money they've made off of the Alberta economy over the years, and they're both fighting for their lives right now. What good is wealth without health is what they keep telling me. So somehow try to tie that, look after your business owners right now, make sure those resources are there. They're going to need to talk with the vulnerability. And that's my passion, is that mental health side. But I look at this as a bit of a disaster recovery. A man-made disaster is what I call this, and we have an urgent need. So right away, I want to make sure my business community knows all the local resources and post them. And be vulnerable, share. If you can get some testimonials from people that have reached out to use them, this will help guide people to it. But have some fun with bringing health in. And there's one program that I'm looking at doing right now, piecing it together. I'm working with the FCSS department about getting your steps in and sponsoring a business owner. And we're just a little bit of a project like that. But how you're going to get your business people engaged. So you have 2 audiences, business to consumer and business to business. We want the networking events for the business to business. But go buy some shop local gift cards or do draws or visas. And that's how you're going to get the business to consumer. Everybody needs money right now. So if they can put their name into a draw to win $100 on a visa that's spent local, or if you have shop local dollars, it's even better. Get creative, but try to bring health into it. Try somehow to keep the endorphins and the energy going. So that's my notes, if I got it all. I think that's it. Those are my ideas.
That's
Go.
it? Wow. Thank you, Angela. I hope everyone was just frantically writing on ideas, and I knew this would be a fun webinar because there are just so many cool ideas out there. And I know there's tons more. And so, really, you guys are all on the front lines of giving hope to business owners. That's, at the end of the day, that's the business we're in. And so, just figuring out what can you possibly do when you have no money and sometimes no support and no time to really put something together. But together, I think collectively we can brainstorm some ideas that don't take a lot of time and money. Just feel free to replicate these ideas. And one of the things too, and Nancy and I will talk after, maybe there's a way we can put something on our website after, and just you guys can dump out other ideas, and we can just have a running log of ideas, and you can come back and refer to them if you're looking for something, if you've got links or something like that. We'll figure it out. But I just think there's so much stuff, so much meat here today. Nancy, are there any questions in the chat box before we kind of open it up to anybody else who's got some other ideas that they're dying to tell us?
Yeah, you know what? I also invite people to read the chat box because there's some fun banter going on. But there's a question from Eleanor Miquelette. And Eleanor, I don't know whether Angela actually answered your question or not, but Eleanor says that the BRE program and survey have been mentioned in light of the tariff conversation. What questions might you target to assess the impact or support services needed as businesses face the reality of tariffs? Like, are there specific supply chain related questions that anyone on the panel would recommend?
Oh, can I go first, Dan?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
So what a great question, because I get passion. I get a little upset when I see such broad surveys. We can almost customize. When I look at questionnaires, I can already know what the end of the report's going to be because we've asked the same questions so many times. So I would get very specific on your questions. So get very specific of what the problem is. Discover the pain. So what exactly are the tariffs? What industries will they affect? Now take your business license, directory, your business license, and target those pains and ask that question to that targeted audience. Angela's shoe store does not care about metal tariffs, stuff like that. Customize the questions to the customer is my point on it. And then how to ask the question, take the new pain that's been put on them and just ask it. How does this affect you? Tell me in the next year how the economic impact will affect you. There's data on this one item. And you almost want to copy paste it and put it over because you're educating as well while you're doing, because some of them might not even know what's coming down the pipe for their industry. A lot of people right now, just on that note, are survey saturated. We're still having the outfall of COVID. So I'd get very innovative ways to talk to them. And you can do the survey, but let's go back to old school and door knock a little bit, or invite them into a hybrid model. One of the things that I've looked at a community, I forget, I think it's in Hawaii right now, that they brought, they're bringing GPT to their website at the very front. Imagine under economic development, if you just had that standing there and they clicked and they can ask their question, and AI has been coded to give them the local resources and the answers to it. So we want to get innovative and engaging with them. So as they need answers, as they need information 24/7, it's available to them. But you can start that conversation in that hybrid model, inviting them into it. Do it after hours. Don't do engagement during business when they're in business operations. They need to make money.
Well, and I think you said something about the door knock, because, you know, when you mentioned business license, I think for the bigger communities, they have more infrastructure in place and resources and data, whereas smaller communities may not have a database to draw from. And so sometimes it's that old fashioned go door knocking and say, you know, hey, you know, it's those business visits that you have to do and to find out that information. It's not as easy, but you got to be creative. Now we're going to just open it up. We've got a little bit of time here left. So anybody, I'll try and look for hands. I don't know. My view has gone wonky on me, but I will look for Eleanor. I see a hand up.
Thanks, Leanne. And thanks to the panel. Some great resources and lots of information there. In Canmore, we are, again, part of the pandemic has really prepared us for this. We have some background, we've implemented programs, we've learned what works and what doesn't work. So dust off your COVID response and recovery plans. We were still part of implementing that process. So we're going to move some of those elements forward. We were doing a skills gap assessment this year anyways. So job reskilling, labor reskilling, Hetti touched on that in her presentation. We are going to pound the pavement, Angela, door-to-door visits rather than another survey, because it's out there. And what I'm discovering, employers just want to have the conversation. Something as simple as coffee beans are in US dollars when they purchase them. Whether they purchase them around the world doesn't matter. It's US dollars. And if the Canadian dollar is weak, their pricing goes up. That is impacting your roasters. And how do you help them mitigate those things, right? So if you have negotiated that 6 months in advance, you're laughing right now, but if you haven't, you're in a massive pain point in your supply chain. The other thing is, again, that shop local. So Canmore Made, bringing that forward in that component. But I think I'm very interested in the supply chain component. So how do we support businesses in looking at alternative supply chains? Canmore, in some sense, benefits from a strong US dollar because then you get lots of US travelers, and US travelers will drop their money. So that industry, I'm probably a bit less concerned about than I am for our manufacturing industries and even our retail, because retail often shop. Their wholesalers are often in the US unless they have a diversified supply chain. So that's what we're kind of targeting on our end in short, and heading to council for those extra funding, Angela, in a council coming up.
Leanne, can I share something, comment on that? This, I don't know if you, Fort McMurray, if you're on, you're getting a little gig here, or a little dig, but I don't know if you guys can see this, but Canada's greatest economic treasure. So to her point of supply chain, we need to turn in and don't worry about what the US, don't worry about the other countries right now. We have a beautiful country right now. And this is an example of a circulatory of all of the regions that supported Fort McMurray. What if we started just telling that from our region while the politicians figure out the cross border? We should be able to sell wine in BC and Alberta and coffee beans and all this kind of back and forth. So I think we have an opportunity to really, as EDOs provincially and under the Canadian body, to promote our local business directors to each other. So when you go to do that boots on the ground, building that relationship and educating and empowering what's in their backyard, when you hear their supply chain, well, did you know that we supply this in the backyard? Do you know that we have this here? It's a great opportunity to connect them and blast that local business directory. And some of these the dollar store may be owned and operated by a local person or a gym or something, but you really want to get into the weeds of, because it's probably US still coming of inventory that's coming there. You want to get into where it's Canadian inventory. So we got to do a little bit of education piece around that as well.
That's great. Natalie, I mean, you actually train in this area, business retention expansion. I'd be interested in any comments that you have. You've got your hand raised.
Thank you. Thanks to the presenters as well. The BRIE part of it is so important to quickly identify. And I see some of the comments in Facebook about, or online about, do you make the appointments? And it depends. How well do you already know your business community? Can you, if it's retail, it's easy. You can pop in for 10, 15 minutes, find out, as Angela said, what their pain pressures are. The key piece is supply chain. Are they having trouble with buyers and suppliers? Some of the companies are already pricing out retail goods that they sell into the States will jump up 40% for their costs. Other companies like the steel companies are calling in their staff already. Guess what? We got layoffs coming. So finding out where they're at based on what company group. If you are the team, then maybe you can only do a couple of focus groups with industry versus retail. So I think the BRIE component is absolutely critical. Get relevant data, especially in our rural communities where we have no data. It's really important. And the other flip side is when you're talking to your elected officials, this advocacy piece about interprovincial trade barriers is something that we have left undone, needed to do for over a decade. I think we will see trade barriers start to crumble, and that will open up more supply chains in Canada. And being aware of business to business in Canada, who might be already in our backyard within a region or within a province, I think those are two activities we can get on right away. It's uncharted. This is a disaster, as Angela said, that's man-made. We have no idea what's coming. So what we can manage is what's in our backyard. And that is get the information of your businesses right now. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Well, that's great. Anybody else? Got anything they want to share? Any programs they've seen? I know Lisa had put some interesting stuff in, and she's just going to get a couple details, and she wanted to share a little bit about a program in Calgary. I know, Angela, you said BRIE had a number of programs. Is there anyone that stood out, that BRIE International? Were there any programs that particularly, you found fascinating or no?
The ones that there was a lot of, the training just seems to be the same everywhere. It was when the EDOs spoke up and talked about the different, it was just through networking, just coffee after the event or at the conference that we were at, when you would learn how much they leaned on the local business community to fund or promote or cross promote. So the one that really stood out was when they had the funding of the marketing was all paid for by private enterprise. So it was like the economic development body was just a facilitator of the project, and they were cross promoting the businesses within each other through a marketing campaign. But it was brought to you by, like I'll use de Havilland as an example, brought to you by, that one was the most one that stood out, and they would buy gift cards. So their business walks were all brought to you by de Havilland. That was it. Like they showed the marketing material, and it was really neat that the business community was supporting the business community, and it's like the EDO literally worked for them on their business visitation, so sponsored by. And then to get people to draw, or to, they were trying to find ways during COVID to get them to make it a priority to fill out the survey. So they did that by putting their name in for draws for laptops or free marketing advertising on radios and different ideas like that. So that there was a win on the end. It was all on business visitation. That was when I was learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Shane, you asked a question. Your understanding is Alberta has the least amount of barriers for interprovincial trade. What have others heard? Is that pretty consistent? Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense, a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's more about what the other provinces need to do to welcome various Alberta goods and services to move into those areas. Is from what I've heard.
Yeah. Lisa, cool. Did you have anything you could add?
Hi, sure, I can. Oops, there's my head. I can share a little bit. The Calgary Downtown Association was part of the funding that the province provided for the Calgary rejuvenation effort. And so the Calgary Downtown Association set up a downtown gift card. I put in a bit of detail in the chat about who they did it through and those kinds of things. But I think my point, and I can certainly go to Mark Garner, the executive director, and see if we can pull a bit more detail of, who they went through, what the costs might be. But I think my point is they've already developed the process. And I think that the funding is provided, not the funding, but the program is already kind of established. A number of local business improvement areas in the city of Calgary had looked at undertaking it in their areas as well. And I would think that it, might be simpler to look at the process that they followed and the protocol and the structure rather than develop your own loyalty program if you don't have one already. Then you can just simply replicate what has already been proven. They had a pretty good uptake. They also had students that were going around signing up their retailers, but effectively it served to support their local retailers, dining establishments, and things like that to encourage people to shop local.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Lisa. James had a question. James, did you want to ask your question or you want me to read your question?
I was just curious about if there is already a database for businesses throughout the province to share what supply they may be able to provide. Just thinking about trying to put together maybe a database utilizing the knowledge of the members of EDA. Maybe there's lots that people just don't know is out there, and maybe they're procuring their goods from out of province or out of the country, where they could be doing that more locally, keeping that supply chain, within Alberta.
I don't know your answer to that question. Lisa, you've raised your hand. Are you wanting to answer that?
Yeah, I think that ultimately the best bet may be to go through the Alberta Chambers of Commerce and your industry associations. Because I mean, unless, and you know, that's the importance, I think, for every community to really have a business license, not for the business license fee or funds that it might generate itself, but for the information for exactly these reasons. But I know that, you know, in my years of working with the government, that accessing a, you know, ready-made business database, it's not there. So your best bet would be to go through your industry associations and or your local chambers of commerce, whatever your other local intel might be. That's your best bet.
Thanks, Lisa. So we're almost at an hour here. So I want to go back to our three panelists, and I'm going to put each of you on the spot. If you could only do one thing, all the things you've mentioned, all the things we talked about, one thing today, what would you recommend to everybody would be the best use of their time, money, energy? So let's go with Hetti.
No, go with someone else first so I can go off of their answers. I already went first.
Okay, then let's go with Angela. We're going backwards.
Business visitation. You can't fix the problem if you don't know what the problem is. You can't recover. Somehow you got to figure out, take what the problem is that the governments have put on and go and talk to the people closest to that, closest impacted. That's the one thing I would focus on. Just comment quit on the associations, remember, only represent people who are members of their association. It's absolutely unbelievable, James, that if there's one thing I'm going to do with my legacy, that why do we not promote all of Canada's business? If you hold a business license, what is the one association or what is the one body that should be promoting right now all of the business directories in Canada? And there isn't. My Chamber of Commerce has 35 members. They don't represent the area. They represent a portion of it. So it's going to stronger together is my comment. It's going to take a whole bunch all together, but big gap.
All right, Katlin.
Business visitations, absolutely, for sure. The silver lining when we talk about the situation that we're in right now is we've already reached out to those core manufacturing, those different organizations, said like, what do you need from a supply chain perspective? The silver lining to that is we've just went through this as well through COVID. So we have additional opportunities and we have learned from that, which is great to hear. There's going to be some coffee was mentioned as well. That's going to be really tricky. But in order to do business visitations, you have to have a business license directory. And I think that ultimately that's the most important. And if we can't get one from a national perspective, then we as communities need to have a really, really good idea of who our business community is. And that's most important.
And finally, last but not least, Hetti.
Okay. Mine is just going to be spending your time listening to what the people have to say. Sometimes we can't fix everything what the federal or provincial governments are pushing down. But if we can listen to what our businesses are saying and get a collective of what our business communities want, maybe we can advocate a little bit better to try and get what we need for them in our regions.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Hetti, Angela, Katlin, for your presentations. Thanks all of you for joining us for lunch. I know you could have done 100 other things, but I had fun. I don't know about you guys, but I guess we're all gonna have to go in our backyards now, which is probably -40, but you know, have fun, dress warm as you're going out. And we will give you, if there's any more follow-up, any more ideas, feel free to email us or we will send you some information as follow-up. So have a great day and enjoy the rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.